Hello everyone and welcome to Fields in Mistria. This game was released in early access on August 5th and it was everything I was hoping for. It is a fantasy-style farming simulator that takes you on a journey to rebuild the town of Mistria. You're a capable member of the Adventurers Guild that answered the call for help when beckoned. Throughout your time in Mistria, you meet multiple NPCs that hold their own personalities and interesting names. I feel it's important to note that you can indeed romance some of the NPCs. I know that is a big thing for some people. The gameplay has multiple elements that are inspired by Stardew Valley, but they hold their own unique quality. We will review this in more detail later. I wanted to provide a week-long playthrough that we could experience for the first time together. I understand that this first week may change once the full version of the game is released. However, I think it's worth peeking behind the curtain to see what we may be missing. Let's take a look at what Fields of Mistria has in store for us. The game opens to a woman sitting in a cottage appearing to be deep in thought. I first thought of her as, wow, pretty lady. This pretty lady is named Adeline, and she is pondering her plan to rebuild Mistria. Her brother Island pops in and discusses the plan to help recover from the earthquake that devastated their home. The plan was to submit a form of a help wanted request in the capital to recruit someone's helping hands. I answered the call to the request and made my way to town. On the way, I ran into a ravaged bridge where I met Bowler, the merchant. He greeted me with open arms and guided me to my farm. On the farm, I met Island for the first time. He welcomed me to Mistria and escorted me to my farmhouse. Inside, Adeline was making preparations for my arrival and was apparently not ready. We were shooed out, and after a crash or two, the home was ready for touring. Here is where the generic tutorials live. I was shown how to use the chest, how to save, and most importantly, how to go to bed before 2 a.m. At the end of the tour, I was gifted a soup and I headed to bed for the next day. I awoke on day one to the sweetest farmhouse. I walked around the small space to see what I could or couldn't interact with. I was already formulating ideas on how I could decorate the space. I stepped out of the house and ran into one of my neighbors, Celine. She wanted to introduce herself and gift me a hoe. I was gifted tulip seeds to start my own little garden. Another neighbor, Hayden, rode in on his horse quickly thereafter. He introduced himself as the town rancher. He cares for many animals on his farm to the west. I was invited to come meet them sometime, and then was given a watering can and turnips for my garden. I mean, how could I grow anything without it? How thoughtful. At this point, I was supposed to meet Adeline, but I felt that gardening was more important. I wanted to ensure that I had something grow by the end of this playthrough. I tried to be organized about how I planted the seeds, but honestly, I will just end up throwing seeds in random places anyway. Finally, I decided to go meet Adeline as she requested, but I wanted to explore first. There is a lot of little places to check out throughout Mistria, and I wanted to find them all. Well, exploring didn't last long because I ran into Bowler. He told me to ship my items in my shipping bin and he would pay me overnight. I met up with Adeline and she introduced me to the request board. Here, people will post various requests that I can complete each day. Each request will have some kind of reward, whether it be money or a physical object. Either way, completing a request will contribute to the town's rank. You start out with a wood rank and climb up as you complete these requests and sell items. There's a third contribution, but I'll touch on this when we get there. The first request was from Adeline. I was to greet every NPC in town. There were 22 to account for, so I better get busy. Finding people wasn't too difficult as the map shows where their current location is. Also, they don't seem to get locked behind closed doors or anything like that, so they're easily accessible. The task went quickly and I already have a favorite. Dozy the dog lives in the bathhouse and is a very good pup. Unfortunately, I didn't quite finish the quest because I couldn't find folks and it was late. While going home, I ran into a caterpillar on the ground. I was so excited because look at him! I ran out of time today, so I went home and went to bed. Each day gives you a little summary of what you completed today, and it wasn't much. I left my farmhouse to find Island chopping a tree on my farm. He claimed that there was some kind of shrine or statue lingering behind it. He grew tired, so I took the worn axe and chopped the tree down. Behind it there was a mystic dragon statue. His head was missing, so I repaired it. I'm unsure what this is, but it will be important later, I'm sure of it. I had another day of trying to find the last NPC for my introductions quest. I looked at the map and saw where the missing person was. I ran into Hayden's home and found no one. I looked around for a minute and realized the missing person's Henrietta, the chicken. I thought this was so silly, and I laughed and greeted her. I tried to flatter her, but my attempt seemed to fail. I had met all the NPCs, so I turned in my request for $100 and 3 potato seeds. I wanted more to do, so I visited the request board and accepted 2 more. The first one was to meet Ulrich to discuss a deal for a pickaxe. The second was to collect stone and wood for Rias. I first met Ulrich and received the pickaxe. What did I have to do in exchange? Give his brother March a chance. March is your typical jerk of the town, but I found him funny, honestly. I now had the pickaxe to mine stone, so I went to the farm to mine and chop wood for Rias. The harvest did not take long, so I decided that the potatoes I received earlier needed to go in the ground. I hoed their spots, planted the seeds, and watered them. Feeling content with today's work, I went to visit Rias and turned in the materials he requested. With the money I earned, I paid the general store a visit. I needed more variety in my crops, so I ordered some cabbage seeds. It ate all my money, but money is to be spent. I can always earn more. I went home for the evening and sowed my cabbage seeds into the garden. I still had some energy left, so I chopped wood and mined stone until I could barely stand. I put all the materials away and went to bed for the night. While asleep, I met an entity. His name is Calderus. He is a dragon, I think? He's from the past for sure. He said that he needed my help regaining strength. I was to collect essence from my day-to-day and bring it to him. In exchange, I would receive skill buffs. I agreed to the terms and wondered if you could romance him. The answer is no, you cannot. I woke up on day 3 to a letter from Adeline. She requested that I visit her on the east side of Mistria. We were to meet at the damaged bridge I saw on my first day. After watering my crops, I met Adeline and we discussed a game plan to repair the bridge. 60 wood and 60 stone were needed for the repair, so I volunteered to collect it. Once collected, Rias would repair the bridge. I had quite a bit of stone and wood already, so how hard could this realistically be? I received another request to meet Errol in the museum earlier today. He wanted to discuss how the museum works and how I can contribute to it. I met him there and learned that we can donate not only artifacts, but bugs, fish, and plants too. Donating to the museum is the 3rd item that contributes to the town rank. I do love me some donating, even if I don't have the best track record. After meeting with Errol, I went to the inn to get some free soup. I happily ate it and got to work on collecting wood and stone. I nearly exhausted myself after a few minutes, so I ran to the inn for more soup. Apparently, they don't let you be greedy because I could not get another bowl. I was disappointed, but I got nosy and poked around the inn. There were a few cute bedrooms, and I realized it was for Hemlock's children. Perhaps I shouldn't be poking around in their spaces. The sun set quickly today, and I sold the used well for some reason. I saw that it could be sold for money, so I guess I figured why not? I guess I can get another one? I don't know. Either way, I made further progress on the town, and I'm excited to see what tomorrow holds. It's Rias' birthday today, and it's raining? What a wonderful way to start day 4. I started my morning by going to the request board to see how I can help out. Luke wanted to chat about bugs and a bug net, so I accepted it and visited him. I got a free net, and now I can catch all the cute bugs I keep seeing on the ground. I visited the general store because I came by more cash. I picked up strawberry and daffodil seeds. Might I add that the strawberry seeds were insanely expensive. I hope they produce a decent harvest. I returned to the request board once I realized that I could buy the clay that Nora was requesting. I bought the clay from Balor's little cart and turned it into Nora. She was happy to see it and paid me well for it. I went home and planted my newly acquired strawberry and daffodil seeds. Again, I tried to be organized about it, but this is where my field turns into chaos. I threw the seeds down wherever, and we will see how it turns out later. I still had energy today, so I harvested more wood and stone for the bridge. While doing so, I visited Calderus and talked to him. I was wondering why I wasn't gaining anything from him while having essence in my pocket, but he did tell me not to forget there is a jump button. I was stoked when I heard this. I am always excited to jump in a game, in a farming simulator no less. While out and about, I caught not only a snail, but a ladybug too. I stopped by the inn and had some soup because I planned to harvest more wood and stone later on. It didn't refresh as much energy as I'd hoped, but I will take something over nothing. I wanted to clear out my inventory, so I went to the museum to donate the bugs I had caught. Turns out, you cannot donate snails. Why can't I donate a snail? It's a bug, right? I ended up having to sell it. I went home and depleted my energy by chopping wood. I'm so close to the bridge quest requirements that I can taste it. Perhaps we will have the bridge fixed tomorrow. It's day 5 and I realized I totally forgot Rias's birthday. I just got caught up in yesterday's shenanigans, alright? My turnips were ready, so I harvested them and separated out the 3 to be donated, 8 and sold. I put 1 turnip in the shipping bin to be sold and held on to the other 2. I wanted to donate the turnip, so I walked over to the museum. On the way, I found a tulip and a fennel that I could donate as well. I dropped off each at the museum, thus furthering the collection. I needed to replenish my field, so I stopped by the general store to purchase more turnip seeds. After the store, I went on a catching spree. I caught a bee, I caught a grasshopper, and I caught an ant. I took all 3 to the museum to donate, and dang it, I can only donate the grasshopper. The bee and ant are just as valid as the grasshopper. Why the heck can't I donate them? They're clearly bugs! While apparently a bee and an ant are not a bug that I can donate, I caught one that could, the petal hopper, but I didn't end up donating it today. That's because I needed to drop off all the wood and stone for the bridge. I ran to the east and donated all the stone and wood that I had collected. I had to talk to Adeline before the bridge could be repaired, so I found her and we got to work. Rias immediately repaired the bridge with all the materials I provided, and it turned out great. Because the bridge was repaired, we could host the Saturday market again. Merchants from all over the kingdom come and visit Mistria with various types of goods. Good thing we repaired the bridge today because the event is tomorrow. The last thing I did before heading to bed was catching a caterpillar. Again, I am adoring the bugs in this game. It's one of the things that I really enjoyed from other games. I hope I keep finding little treasures like this. Day 6 was the first Saturday market within my playthrough. I wanted to bolt over to the town square, but I needed to exercise some patience. Nora promised a reward for greeting all the merchants, but first I needed to empty my inventory. I headed to the museum to donate items, but was caught up in a scene between Errol and Island. Island wanted to open the mines again after the earthquake shut them down. Errol disagreed to how dangerous they'd become. They were a bunch of rubble with cave-ins and a broken elevator. Also, there were strange sounds coming from the darkness. Island teased Errol about his uneasiness, and we all agreed that the mines were to be opened once the town hits a stone rank. For context, we are wood at the moment. After the agreement was settled, I donated my bugs and dandelion, then headed to town. In town, there were multiple merchants from many places selling many different things. I went to each one and said hello for the first time. My favorite shop was the cafe. Darcy was adorable, and I can't help but love a small shop with coffees and pastries. I talked to Nora after greeting everyone, and she gave me $300. I used it on a single coffee from Darcy. It's too bad that I can't romance her, as I love her aesthetic. I enjoyed my coffee and went home. I cleaned up the farm more and ended up catching my first roly-poly. They're some of my favorite bugs. I think isopods are neat anyway, so I was excited by this one. The day was coming to a close, so I organized my chest and went to bed. I can't believe this playthrough is almost over. It's the final day of my playthrough of Fields in Mistria. Admittedly, I'm sad that it's almost over, but I have one more day to enjoy. It was a rainy day, and I began it by saying hello to Calderus. Still confused by why I'm not gaining any skill buffs, but I'll come back later today to troubleshoot more. This morning, I received a letter from Adeline to meet her at the manor to discuss the town's emergency food reserves. I swiftly visited her and accepted the quest to grow and ship 10 crops. This shouldn't be an issue. Growing crops is what I love to do. She handed me 10 potato seeds to start the process. Before heading back home to plant the potatoes, I visited the request board. I accepted a quest for wood. Before picking up the wood, I planted and watered the potatoes so they could grow quickly. I grabbed the wood that was requested and turned it into Landon. He was grateful as they were running low. I had come by even more money, so I went to the general store. I considered grabbing more strawberries, but they're just so expensive, and I wasn't sure if I could get enough harvests to justify it. But I thought a cherry sapling would be fun. I purchased a sapling and excitedly planted it next to my field. I'm sure I'll regret planting this tree here later on, but for now, that's okay. I revisited Calderus to figure out how to exchange my essence for skill boosts. It turns out that you can't just talk to him, you have to interact with him as if he's an item. I exchanged my essence for farming buffs. The two I got were Refreshing and Prepared Picker. Both are tier 1 skills that can prove to be helpful as I play more of the game. Unfortunately, the daylight was running out. We didn't have much time to do much else, so I went to bed and ended my first week in Fields of Mistria. I don't really know how to start this conclusion, as I have so many thoughts to share, but I'll condense them the best that I can. To start off, I think Fields of Mistria is an incredible game. When this game was announced and a trailer was released, I heard a lot of folks saying that it's a Stardew Valley knockoff, that it would be the same experience and all that, but honestly, it isn't. I was concerned about this when I purchased the early access and played the first 10 minutes of the game. It felt familiar in a way I didn't like at first. But then, the personality and style of the game really began to shine. The fantasy elements in the characters' clothes were noticeable right off the bat. The town of Mistria was no ordinary farm town. It had its own charm that separated the setting of the game from what I already knew from Stardew. The farm itself reminded me more of Harvest Moon than it did Stardew. There was potential, but it was simple. There was less overwhelm, and the mess the farm had become was manageable. A lot of this playthrough felt manageable. The requests weren't outlandish right out the gate. They were easily completed within a day or two. I felt like I was actually helping out the community despite having few resources and little to offer. I was left wanting more. I felt excited to check the request board because I didn't know what could be asked for that day. It felt like a surprise to me. As for the NPCs, I was very impressed with the variety of personalities that were present. Of course, you'll have the generic town jerk, or someone who behaves like a fisherman, perhaps a dream girl that is unfriendly to you at the beginning but slowly opens up. However, there were personalities outside of these tropes. My favorite was Luke, who is an entomologist. It brings so much flavor to the town that I didn't expect. I wanted to hear what the NPCs had to say, and I noticed immediately that there were no repetitive dialogues. While my playthrough was so short, I was happy to see that the repetition hadn't started yet. I may see it later on, but for now, I'm happy with what I saw. There are a million more things that I could discuss about this game, but all in all, I really enjoyed my experience in the town of Mistria. I want to play more. I want to see what the mines are about, and I want to see what the relationships can develop into. I personally believe that calling this game a Stardew Valley knockoff is an insult. It's an insult anyway, but with what I know now, I know that Fields of Mistria is its own product. It's apparent that the team took elements from games like Stardew and Harvest Moon, but they put a spin on it that makes it feel fresh and new. The best way to sum it up is that Fields of Mistria is like Stardew in the way that Stardew is like Harvest Moon. Both have their original aspects, but at their core are a farming simulator. All farming simulators are going to have aspects that feel the same to one another, and that's okay. My overall review? I think everyone should give it a chance. If you love cozy farming simulators, then you will enjoy this title, but you will never know if you don't give it a try. Before you go, I just wanted to thank you for making it this far into the video. I know new content like this can be a drag if you don't really know what to expect, so it means the world to me that you made it here. I want to play more, so please let me know if you're interested in seeing more. Feel free to subscribe if you're into cozy games or just like a comfy vibe. Regardless if you stick around or we part ways, I hope you had fun with me. I am looking forward to seeing you all again. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time.